I made a routine to teach you to flick faster in just 30 days. If you found that you die a lot because you literally cannot reach the person with your crosshair before they kill you, then this is the routine for you. In my opinion, this routine will be great for most people. It uses a lot of the same concepts as routines I've made for Cartoon, who is arguably one of the best static clickers out there, and a top 200 Radiant, but it also works well for new players. Because of the way it's structured and the specific skills it trains, I think it will work well for really everyone at any level. Most of the tacFPS aim training out there, whether it be in-game or in actual third-party aim trainers, focuses on perfection. You try to be very smooth, very slow, confirm you're on target, and rarely or never make errors. This is the opposite of how motor skills are learned. To have better aim, you need to change your brain. To change your brain, you need to undergo neuroplasticity, and this is cued by mistakes. If you want to know more information on that, then check out the video in the top right. But for this, what you need to know is that when you make errors, you will likely improve faster. On top of this, if you try and aim very smoothly and go for high accuracy, then congratulations, your static scores will go up, but aim in game will be a lot more difficult. When you aim very slowly, smoothly, and perfectly accurate, and someone else equally skilled aims slightly faster but misses 10% of the time, then they will kill you 90% of the time because you won't be able to get a shot off before you die. In most games, you also have a bunch of bullets, so if you miss your first shot, that doesn't mean you die, it just means you have to shoot again. Aiming faster will technically make you less consistent, but consistency is useless when it just means that you'll aim too slowly or frequently get outgunned by people you can't reach. Now, you might be thinking, well, when I aim fast, I just whiff all my shots and never get a kill. I need to slow down to be able to kill. And this is where the idea that flick speed is kind of personal comes into play. Exactly how quickly and accurately you aim is dependent on who you are. To understand this, we have to look at the idea of velocity. Simply put, velocity is how long it takes you to get to where you're going. You might move your mouse really quickly and miss a bunch and finally get to the target after 1 second, or really slowly and get to the target perfectly, but because you're moving so slow, it still takes you a second. Because you went from your starting point to the target in 1 second both times, both motions have equal velocity. Different people will find different balances of pathing and speed will get them the best mouse velocity, but as we explained earlier, multiplayer tacFPS type games tend to favor a bit of extra speed at the expense of some of your accuracy. What this means is that you shouldn't be aiming at your ideal velocity, but instead a little bit faster so that the inconsistency can make you win more often, instead of just getting one-tapped by people before you can reach them. Now these are all cool words, but motor movements aren't made with words. You cannot decide your exact velocity and speed as you're being peaked. You have to learn it so that it happens reflexively in game. That's where my routine, which I've decided to name the velocity method, comes into play. Before I can give you guys this routine, I just want to say if you've made it this far, you'll like all my content, subscribe. I'm an aim coach. I've worked with a couple pro Valorant players like 5 or 10 Radiants, Apex Predators, and Overwatch GM, and more. I give away everything I know for free on this channel, so subscribe. The first playlist I'm going to go over is a speed playlist. The first 3 scenarios are pretty similar to the first 3 in the H&A routine, but the bots are slightly bigger. I feel this allows people who are used to aiming slowly to focus more on speed. Then I put in some evasive target switching. The first H&A routine focuses on very fast flicks and stopping power. This is important, but sometimes people are strafing and you don't want to stop, but rather just slow down a lot and track them. This is what the evasive bots allow you to train. On these scenarios, you should really focus on switching from aiming quickly to aiming less quickly, but because it's the speed routine, also focus on speed. Overall, when you're playing this playlist, your aim should actually look shaky and feel somewhat out of control, but this is okay because it will cause you to improve. You'd want to play on a sense that is lower than your in-game sense, and if your arm begins to feel sore, then just stop the playlist. It's not worth a tendon injury. Training this routine will make you more able to aim quickly and shift that ideal speed pathing balance we talked about more towards speed. What I've found is that in creating the speed pathing balance, it's also important to train pathing. The speed training trains speed related errors and therefore makes you faster. The pathing training trains pathing related errors and therefore makes you better at pathing. The two combined give you better velocity. That being said, speed does seem to be the more dominant factor in tacFPS aiming, so we'll train it more. On the pathing playlist, there are both clicking and tracking scenarios. On the clicking scenarios, draw smooth lines between the targets, trying to go from center to center, being as straight as possible. On the tracking scenarios, just focus on staying on the target like any other tracking scenario, but try to be very smooth with it and not shaking around the target. This playlist should be played on a relatively high sense, whatever that is for you. The last two playlists really focus on getting the speed pathing balance done and figuring out what's ideal for you. The third playlist is a reaction playlist. In-game, when you get peeked, the first thing you have to do is react. All the scenarios on this playlist are designed to train your ability to react, and then quickly flick to a target. If you find that you cannot ever hit the target, or that you hit it very consistently, edit the time scale to make it harder or easier, re-upload the scenario, and replace it on the playlist so that it feels good for you. The scenarios where a target appears and then quickly disappears kinda work like in-game, where an enemy appears, then will kill you before you can click, making these scenarios a great simulation of how you should aim in game for optimal results. The fourth and final playlist is a combination of clicking and target switching scenarios meant to feel like in-game, but also less reflex-based. When playing this routine, try to play around with different paces and see what feels good and what feels bad. Don't pay too much attention to scores, as they aren't great reflections of optimal in-game aim for these scenarios. I made a list of which of the routines to play on each day for 30 days. I recommend starting with the extreme pathing routine because I think it's very important to just feel yourself aiming smoothly and slowly before you start speed pushing, but that's up to you. That's just a preference of my own. In fact, if you want to edit any of the 30 days, that's fine. You know your aim better than I do, so you can choose which routine is best for you on a specific day. I would, however, recommend focusing on speed and reactions for most of the 30-day period. At the end of the month, your flicking will be much better, but you'll likely struggle with something else. Maybe it's counter-strafing enemies and you'll want a dynamic routine. And maybe these playlists might start feeling kind of boring. You could try making your own evasive playlist using different target switching scenarios, replace the speed half of the speed playlist with the first H&A routine, and then you could just find another reaction playlist, or you could run the third H&A routine instead of the pathing routine. There's a bunch of different routines out there that can replace these. They're not like special by any means. I personally actually prefer the H&A routines for my speed training and my pathing training, but I feel like the playlist I made a better intro to speed training, as the H&A routine feels pretty small, especially for new players. Also, the H&A routine doesn't have much evasive target switching, which has the benefits I mentioned above. If you're interested in trying the H&A routine, I put a link to their guide in the description. If you want to see what happened when I aim coached a pro Valorant player, check out this video. If you have any questions or want any clarifications or think I'm wrong about something, I did struggle to put my thoughts into words for this one, and it's completely possible that I am wrong about something in this video, so please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.